Opinionated.com.
You're enjoying the echo, though, aren't you?
I was enjoying hearing the sound of my own voice.
Don't we all? Don't
Yeah.
we all? That's why we do it.
Exactly. You know how many times I have to listen to these crappy podcasts?
Really? I've never listened to a single one of them.
Really?
Well, why should I? I lived through it. I'm like,
But I
was
have
great the
to I have
first
to edit it and make sure that I don't have like somebody doing this for me. You know what I
I
mean?
know. I just thought you just put it. It was like you were like Ed Wood, the Ed Wood of podcasting.
I am.
You know, one take. That's it. You put it up. We're not even worried about it.
That's it. That's it. You got it. You nailed it on the head. We're doing this old school guerrilla style. Well, okay. So this is Part-Time Fanboy. I'm Kristian Horn. I'm here with Barry Negrin, our resident Doctor Who expert.
That's me.
That's you. And we are here to chat about the third segment of The Key to Time, The Stones of Blood. Dun, dun, dun. Why don't we talk a little bit about The Key to Time, like in general, like where we are so far. So what has occurred up to this point before the Stones of Blood?
To roll back a little.
Yeah.
The Doctor was summoned by this ethereal being called the White Guardian to try and collect the 6 pieces of the Key to Time, which is a very powerful instrument designed to stop all time and enable the user to manipulate the cosmos. And the White Guardian had deliberately scattered the pieces to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. However, now he actually needs to get it together so that he can put the universe back in balance a bit.
Yeah.
So he's already, the Doctor's already successfully found the first 2 pieces.
Yes.
One of which was an entire planet.
Yes.
Planet of Calufrax.
Yeah.
And then the previous one, what was it again? The first
It
piece.
was the Ribos operation, and
Oh,
wasn't
yes.
it like
It was
yeah,
a massive piece of Jethric
yeah, exactly.
or Scrinchstone.
You are the right guy. I always say that when I have you on because I don't remember any of the terms of like what I remember generally what happened like in the Ribos operation and the Pirate Planet. Those were the previous 2 installments but I like the fact that you were just like Jethric blah blah blah. I'm very
This
impressed.
is not the first time I've seen it. I've seen these episodes probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time ago.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
they used to be on Maryland Public Television, and they would rerun them. So these aren't the first times I've seen them, but so having seen them now recently, I also watched them yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, did you watch all of them? Like
course.
Ribos and Pirate? Wow. So you watched the first 3, like you watched them all the way through, like up to Stones of Blood? Or did you go past Stones of Blood?
No, I went through Stones of Blood to catch up to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, but I was thinking that you watched like the Ribos operation again and the Pirate Planet again. And
Oh,
then
you mean what, this weekend?
Yeah.
No, that would be insane.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, you are hardcore.
No, otherwise I wouldn't have forgotten Jethric right off the top.
Yeah, I know. So at this point, this is the 3rd chapter, and it's 3 out of 6, right?
Yes. Oh, and the most important part about this story is that they saddled him with a sidekick.
Hello. Yeah.
Who's quite attractive. She's a time lady herself.
Yes, she is.
She's quite young. She's only I think they said she was about 140.
Yeah.
And she's fresh out of the academy.
Romana.
It's really like Romana, short for Romana Dvoratrelundar.
Oh my God.
She is, it's like a very classic, like cop buddy movie where you've got the grizzled veteran, the doctor, side of, with this dumb rookie who doesn't know anything about the field, but got top marks in the academy.
Yeah. Yeah, good call. So basically we're looking at sort of like not the lethal weapon of maybe the lethal weapon of the Doctor Who. I mean, I don't know how many erstwhile like brand new, straight off the bench companions he's had, but yeah.
Well, a lot of them have been, fresh-faced humans who have
Sure.
freaking idea who are not really helpful. There was this loudmouth Australian stewardess, Tegan, who was,
Uh-huh.
you know, and there was, he's had some savages over the years. He had an 18th century Scottish man,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, I've read
he's
about that.
had some, Jamie. So he's had a lot of companions who've been relatively useless. But, Romana's pretty smart. So,
She is pretty smart, and I have to say that she's really growing on me. I mean, she started off as kind of like a wise ass, you
yeah,
know.
very haughty.
Yeah, and it seems by now at this third chapter, she's kind of mellowed out a little bit on that. Like she's not so much of a like wisecracking, which to me is kind of like sad because I kind of liked her that way. I liked her.
But yes, but she still puts the doctor, in his place when needed. For example, when they have the first two pieces and he's fumbling to try and put them together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she like snaps them together in a second, and she says, "Oh, I was always good at puzzles," and he says, "You would call this a puzzle?" And she says, "Well, not much of a puzzle."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she still gets a couple of quips in, but it seemed like when she very first showed up, in the Ribos operation, that she was definitely more sassy. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah. Well, she
Yeah,
was expecting to be treated as an equal, and it
yeah,
became clear to her that, the doctor was not nearly as much of a buffoon as his academic record and, felony record would actually lead her to believe. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is the third installment, and I've really liked the first two. And the first two were kind of I mean, I don't know that you would call them like say swashbuckling adventure or whatever, but
right.
there was a momentum to them. I gotta
Yes.
say, this sucked. I was like blown away by I expect a level of kind of community theater to these. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But this one was just like, holy cow! I had a hard time getting through the Stones of Bloodberry. It was a
It's
rough
funny
time.
because my notes on this indicate very similar feelings because a lot of the first half to two-thirds of it to me were very recycled, regurgitated shit from previous Doctor Who episodes. You
Yeah.
know, like for example, a very common trope on Doctor Who is that there's some secret sect of old religious fanatics aiming to bring back some old god of days gone by. For example, the pyramids of Mars with Sutek, the Egyptian god, was a better telling of the same story.
Uh
Here,
huh.
it's the Cailleach, a real life Celtic goddess. But there's some very weak ass stuff going on. Like episode one ends not just in any
Oh my
cliffhanger,
god.
in a literal cliffhanger. You
Well,
have
it's not even
Romana.
that it's just a cliffhanger. It's like I mean, you find out in the second episode, but Romana's kind of like standing like in a field, and this is just I think this is just like bad direction or limited direction because they were shooting outside, but she's
Yeah,
like standing in a field and she turns around and she's like, "What? What? What?" And then the next second she's like falls off a cliff, and it's like,
yeah,
"Wait a minute." They made it look like she just basically stumbled off a cliff, and
yeah. But
you
the implication later
yeah.
was that some being resembling the Doctor pushed her.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, yeah, this to me was it's just funny because I was watching the first episode and well, I mean maybe we should just go back to the beginning a little bit. They're
Sure.
in the TARDIS. They're trying to put that
Oh, and the opening segment starts off with the crappiest hand model of the TARDIS anyone has ever seen. I mean, admittedly, the special effects weren't good
no.
at this point, but these are like 1963 effects.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what these old Doctor Who's always remind me of because
Yeah,
quite honestly, they're being filmed like what in like late 70s, mid to late 70s, and
yeah,
they're not even like up to par to like 66 Star Trek, you know what I mean?
right.
Like I'm like,
Yeah, it's sad.
holy cow. But I mean, at this point you're right. They've got you mentioned earlier they have the two pieces of the key to time. They're kind of like messing around like to fit them together, and then they hear something, right? Like
Yes.
they hear like a voice. What does the voice say again?
The disembodied voice says, "Beware, beware the Black Guardian,
Yeah.
beware." Now, the thing is that Romana, at this point, thought that the president of Gallifrey had sent her on this mission
Yeah.
because the White Guardian came to her in that image. So he didn't even know that that she didn't even know that that wasn't even the president of Gallifrey, that it was the White Guardian.
Yeah.
So at some point, the doctor had to tell her the real deal, that, okay, it wasn't really the president. She's like, but I saw him with my own two eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why, like, this would never occur to her, but
Yeah.
apparently it didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so and basically they find out that they have to go to Earth, which Doctor Who is like very excited about.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay.
he's like, yeah, we're going to Earth, and
And she's like, oh my
Earth?
God, everyone knows it's your favorite planet. I
Yeah.
can't think of why for the
Yeah.
life of me.
I know, right? Yeah, so she gives them a little bit of a hard time about that, and they
Right.
basically, are on their way in the TARDIS
But
to.
that's sort of like a funny in joke, because, here you've got this amazing time capsule and that can travel through space and time. And most of the action of the show is so far set on Earth. It's a joke because, of course, it's going to be set on Earth. The BBC can't afford to put them anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone knows it's your favorite planet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like this trope in a lot of science fiction, or like even comic
Right,
books. Like
right.
I was reading some Marvel comics over the weekend, and you always come across this thing where like Earth is like the central crux of the universe. There's something important in evolution that's happening on Earth, and it's like, really, like, out of the billions of aliens that you have in Marvel comics or whatever, it's like Earth is like, I mean, maybe it's just the cynic in me, you know what I'm saying? But of course, Earth has to be the center of the universe or whatever.
Well,
right?
it's like that old story about the guy who's looking for his keys under the lamppost, and then his friend says, did you drop them around here? And he said, no, I dropped them, down the street, but the light's better over here.
That's funny. Oh man. So anyway, they go to Earth. They basically end up in Earth. And where do they end up? I'm looking at the Wikipedia because the
Me too.
location kind of like escapes me.
It's in, like
Cornwall. It says
something
here.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. They find themselves near the Nine Travelers, a group of standing stones in the Boscombe Moor.
Because they couldn't
Cornwall.
afford, I'm sure they couldn't afford Stonehenge. should they?
Stonehenge, no. It's basically like a cheap ass Stonehenge where.
But
where
I'm
they
sure
end
there,
up.
I mean, I'm no Anglo expert, but I'm sure there are multiple stone circles like,
Yeah,
Stone-
like Stonehenge. Oh, sure. Wait, before we go any further, did you know that this was the 100th story of the series? Like,
I did not.
basically, and it says it on Wikipedia. It's the
Yes.
100th story, and it was the fourth part of the show was aired during the 15th anniversary. Which to me is like, wow, how anticlimactic can you get? That's like giving your wife a lump of coal for your 15th anniversary. It's horrible.
When in
It's
fact,
horrible.
15, I think, is actually something like plaster and paper. So,
Is it really?
don't
Well,
know.
that's basically what this ended up being. Quite
but
honestly.
but actually, to be honest, I thought that episode 4 of all 4 of them was the best. But we'll get there.
That's quite honestly like saying like the dump I took this afternoon was better than the dump I took this morning. Because dude, I almost fell asleep during the 4th episode. I was like,
Really?
wow. Yeah, it just got
love
so.
but
No, maybe it was
so-
the 3rd episode. I think the 3rd
Oh, the
episode.
3rd was terrible.
The 3rd episode, I think the 4th one kind of like but it was pretty bad. But anyway, okay. So the long and short of it is they land on Earth, and basically they're within this group of standing stones, and basically the Doctor discovers that there's like this druidic like cult that's
Yes.
operating in the area, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and basically he lives in this giant hall, in this house, and are they committing human sacrifices? Is that what they're doing?
No, not yet.
Not yet. not yet. And but they're getting to the point where they're starting to commit to that
Yeah.
level, right? Of
Well, it
like,
always starts off with animals, and then
yeah, yeah, it just always escalates. And basically, so the doctor goes to like kind of like investigate
Well,
and
he also stumbles upon these two
oh my
archaeologists
god.
who
Oh
are
my god.
delightful. The typical quirky old
Oh.
lady,
Oh
um,
my god, the old lady. What was
Professor
her
Amelia.
Professor Amelia? That was rough. She was rough, man. Like I had a hard time with her. I mean, I know that basically, and so what? They're like surveyors, right? They're like hobbyists, or like what are
No,
they?
they're archaeologists.
Oh,
I mean,
they're like serious archaeologists.
she's written. Amelia Rumford has dedicated, much of her career on these type of Celtic stone circles and the Druids and stuff like that. So
That's right,
she's an expert.
Amelia. That's right. Okay, so she's an expert, and she's with her friend, what, Vivian?
Vivian Fay.
Vivian Fay, which is obviously sort of like Morgan Le Fay or something
Sure,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And they're conducting a survey, or I don't know. They're just wandering around. It seemed like
No,
to
they're
me.
surveying the stones.
Yeah, they're surveying the stones, and they run into Doctor Who, and they kind of clue him in. It's to that there's some like crazy stuff going on, right?
Yeah, you should pop down to the manor down the road.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
he's the head of the Druids is down there.
Yeah, exactly. And his name is DeVries or DeVries.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And basically, he heads over there, and while he's like going to question the guy, for some reason, the doctor, for some particular reason, this DeVries or DeVries guy gets like super excited. And
Because the doctor is listed as he thinks that he's the person of the prophecy, so we will sacrifice him so that the Kaliach may return.
now, how does he know that the doctor's part of the prophecy? Like, where did it say that? Because I missed that.
Um, the,
You don't know either.
the Ravens told him.
The Ravens, oh my god. Yeah, see, that's where it sort of like gets a little bit convoluted. Like where it's sort of like, okay, Doctor Who shows up, and this guy who's in charge of like the local druidic sect is basically like, this is the one that we have to, like sacrifice, and basically cold cocks the doctor like in the back of the head and knocks him out, which
Right.
I think is the first time, or at least like in these older episodes, maybe I haven't seen as many as you have, but the first time that he's been like knocked out like that.
Oh,
like,
it happens. It happens a lot, actually.
Does it really?
But usually, he just, in many cases, he allows it to happen so that he can get deeper into the mechanisms of the evil people. So,
man.
like he deliberately allows himself to get knocked out.
Yeah, he lets himself get knocked out, and then so they drag him over to cheap ass Stonehenge, and they're about to sacrifice him, and they've got robes and everything.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
they're ready, but at the same, and this is sort of at the same time that Romana's kind of fallen off the cliff at this point, because he left her behind, right?
He actually gets he actually rescues her before then.
Oh,
Because
okay.
he sends, of course, another sort of weak ass trope is that that we've actually seen recently where they use Canine as a dog.
Yeah.
Of course it's Canine to the rescue. So he sniffs out Romana's scent and tracks her down.
Right. That's right. So she got knocked off the cliff, and K9 tracks her down, right? And then they rescue her. He uses the scarf
Of course he does.
to pull her. Now, would he use the scarf a lot like that? Like,
Use it for lots of stuff, yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I think I've ever seen him like actually. And she's like, "No, don't pull me up," because
Well,
she's
because
like,
she thought he pushed him.
yeah, she thought that she pushed him. So they're basically insinuating that like the Black Guardian was the one that did it, right?
No, I think
That's kind of
that
what I thought.
Oh, I didn't think so at all.
No, what did you think?
I thought that it was Vivian Fay.
Oh, but she said she saw the doctor. and they
Yes, but
mentioned
remember,
that he could
she
change
had
his
the Great
shape.
Seal of Diplos. So she had stolen the Great Seal of Diplos, and its powers, according to the Megara, I'm getting ahead of myself,
Yeah, we're getting ahead of
are
ours.
are one of the powers of both the Great Seal of Diplos and the
Ah.
pieces to the Key to Time are transmutation. So obviously, to me, it looks like the that the Vivian Fay concealed herself to pretend that she was the doctor,
Oh.
and then shoved her off the cliff.
Well, see, this is why I need you because these episodes where I swear I was kind of like zoning out at one point,
I
and
think also, to be honest, I bet you that if there was a director's cut of this, it would have made more sense.
oh sure,
This feels to me like bad editing.
it also feel yeah, and it felt very rushed too. I mean,
Yeah,
it feels like one of the like least like better produced of the ones that I've seen of the old episodes. Like the another one that I really disliked that I saw before, we even got to know each other like on this podcast was the Ark in Space or
I knew you were
something.
going to say that.
And
Yeah.
I hated that one. And that's what this reminded me of. Like I was like, wow,
You
this
know,
is
I think
some
they even reused one of the dead aliens from the Ark in Space.
they may
No,
have.
when they cracked open the cells, one of the cells had that big bug in it, and I
Yeah.
thought that it was like the same bug as the Weirin who were on the Ark.
That's funny because visually I was like, that looks familiar to me too.
Yeah,
But gosh knows I've seen enough sci-fi. So
sure.
anyway, Doctor Who rescues Romana, and then he goes to the thing, gets knocked out, is on the stones, and he's about to be cut up by this guy, right?
Pretty much, yes.
And then the old lady shows up,
Yeah, it
Amelia.
scares off the
She scares
scares.
off the creepy
Well,
guys in robes.
but they didn't want to get discovered.
No,
So
but I mean seriously, this feeble kind of older woman shows up and she's like, "What's going on?" Blah, blah, blah. And
right,
they're like, run away, like Monty Python or something.
yeah,
They're just like, so she basically rescues Doctor Who.
pretty much. And then he starts, rummaging around the house.
Yeah,
Uh, he at some point he he figures out that that they're placed under attack by some of the stones from the circle.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
that's what happens to the leader of the cult. And
yeah.
according to Wikipedia, that's his maid. I thought it was like his girlfriend or something. But
Well, he
they
was the maid, but she was also his right hand girl in the cult.
Gotcha. Because if you were going to have a right hand member in your cult, who better than your maid? Quite
You know,
honestly,
to be also, how many extras do you want to pay for on this show?
it's true. It's true. But so they retreated back to the manor after they got like scared off, and basically what ends up happening is they get attacked by these like sentient pieces of Stonehenge or
Right,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
And so the doctor works out that there are these silicon life forms that need blood or globulin to survive. So there you go.
they're like vampires.
No,
Yeah,
it's true. A blood drinking alien.
yeah,
I've never
exactly.
heard of that before.
I know. Well, but I love the again Amelia's reaction where she's like, "Doctor." It's almost like Catherine Hepburn. She's like, "I can't
Yes.
believe that there's silicon. What? What are you talking about?" Like it's really funny how Doctor Who starts talking about like stuff in space and aliens to
She
this
takes
woman.
it really in stride.
Yeah, I know. Well, not only that, but like he basically acts like, "Hey, like this is normal stuff," Like and like she's supposed to just know. And then she kind of acts like a little bit like, "What? Really? You're an alien?" And she's not like blown away by this. She's not like, "You're crazy. Like this is all insane." She's basically like, "Yeah, okay. I'll
Well,
go along with that."
I wonder how much of it is. There was some evidence that she was clearly losing her memory. So I wonder how much of it was the character sort of like A, keeping up a brave face,
Yeah.
B, she's a pretty tough old lady. So
Yeah.
she's like, okay, fine, I'll play along. And C, maybe she's even doubting her own sanity at this point. So she's like, okay, this may or may not really be happening, but let's see where it goes.
Honestly, I was beginning to doubt my own sanity when he was like hanging out with that woman. I was like, "What are you doing, man? Like this is just crazy." So basically, they're rummaging through the house, right? And earlier in the episode, this DeVries cat had like a wall of like his relatives or something.
No,
Like
they were paintings of the former owners of this manor.
former owners. Okay, and there were like
Yes.
3 paintings missing.
Yes.
And Doctor Who and Amelia discover the paintings, and
Yes, in
it's
a
like
priest
dun
hall.
dun dun, and
And they're
they all
all like from different centuries, but they're all clearly paintings of the same woman, and they're the same woman being Vivian Fay.
yes, who is
So,
Amelia's friend, who was like the other surveyor who Doctor Who came across in the beginning.
meanwhile, at that same time, Vivian Fay is like shoving Romana into the circle and then zaps her with a big stick. It's like a wand, and
Oh
then
my
makes her
god.
disappear at the end of episode.
Wait, you gotta go back a little because like this sequence is not kind to Romana, and I can see why Mary Tam by the end of this run was like,
I'm
F
outta
it,
here.
I'm done with this show because okay, so they make her look like she's an idiot and she falls off a cliff, and she's basically like, she's basically like Romana is basically like spying on the Stonehenge circle, like waiting to see if anybody turns up, and Vivian
Like sneaks up behind her.
sneaks up. No. Come on. She doesn't sneak up. She shows up right next to her, and she's like, Romana, what are you doing? And Romana's like, well, I'm keeping an eye on the circle. And then basically, like, she shoves her into the circle, and Romana's like, what are you doing? And then the reveal
you're
of
hurting
like,
me.
yeah, you're hurting. And then Vivian, the big reveal, she steps into the circle like really quickly, and she's wearing this like feathered like druid gown.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
we saw that before because the maid was wearing it earlier.
Yeah. No, we saw it before, but you're telling me that you're standing in the woods and somebody comes up right next to you and addresses you and it's dressed up in that outfit.
And it
you're
doesn't
not
dawn
like,
on you.
Yeah, I know. You're sort of like,
And like actually, like when you saw Romana and Vivian just in the tight headshots, you could see the feathers sticking up on her shoulders. And you're like, this
I know.
isn't right. What the fuck is she wearing? She
yeah,
wearing a boa?
exactly. The only excuse I could give like Romana is that she's never
was
been
dark.
to Earth. What's that? It was dark. It was dark, but that she's never been to Earth either. Like
That's
she doesn't
true.
she doesn't know their customs. She doesn't know. But quite honestly, I was sitting there like, come on, Romana, you got to work with me here because this is bullshit. Like this is not working. So she shoved, like you said, Vivian shoves her into the circle and then zaps her with the wand, and
She disappears.
she
Oh
disappears.
my god.
Yeah, and you're like,
To
dun,
be
dun,
honest though,
dun.
to me,
Yeah.
that's where the show got a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it did. No, honestly, at that point, I was like, some action, because quite honestly, it had just been like kind of like bumbling around and didn't really seem to have a lot of focus, you know? Just
Yeah.
like all the exposition and everything just was like, it was just like really badly written. Like, I think, I think, and you could be right that there was something with the editing, you know, but I also think that for this being like the 15th anniversary like episode, I was like, wow, you guys were not reaching for the stars on this, you know, like it
True.
was really bad. And I also just quickly have to comment on Tom Baker's acting in this one. Like, I think that we've spoken about
Now
Tom Baker.
listen, you're getting a little, I'm sensing that you're stepping on sacred ground here, so tread carefully.
No, dude. You gotta give me this because the thing with Tom Baker, and it could be that they didn't have a lot of money and that things were like, that they had to quickly get through stuff and you only had like one take or whatever. But I think that Tom Baker in a lot of these, to me, is very much the type of actor who knows, like, has memorized the script and knows what he's supposed to do and doesn't necessarily listen to what the other actors are doing, because there's a couple of moments in this, specifically in this sequence, 4 episodes, where like somebody says something and they're like,
And he just runs them over.
it's not even just that he runs him over. Like I think it was in the second episode, Romana says something like she discovers something and she says it very calmly, and then he goes, "Of course, I can't believe it!" Like he just flips out, like he just yells like really loud. And I'm sorry if I just blew your earphones out.
That's quite all right.
But that's exactly what he does. He goes, unbelievable! Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He just had like a conniption. Like it's just like what she said, or the way that she said it does not in any way deserve that level of like.
Oh yeah, but you know that's Tom Baker though.
Yeah.
He's like very excited. You know, he has that.
No, but he goes from being like very calm to all of a sudden very excited. You know what I mean? Like I can't believe it.
He was the original. Hey, believe me, he was the original madman with a blue box. Trust me.
Oh really?
You know, you think it's David Tennant. I hate to burst your bubble, honey. It was.
No.
It was Tom Baker.
No, but at least David Tennant kind of like had a reason for getting like crazy. Like you would just be like, I mean, it reminded me of my like daughter when she was 4 years old, and like you would be talking to her, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, you know how little kids are? They're like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing, and you're just like, whoa, whoa, what just happened? Like, chill out, it's okay. Like,
But I think also that you know how I don't know if you watch Sherlock at all.
oh yeah, yeah.
So I actually, while I was waiting for you to call, my soon-to-be 12-year-old has turned me on to Sherlock, and it's pretty amazing. You know, it's written by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, the two big showrunners of the modern Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And Sherlock does the same thing, you know, as this Tom Baker doctor. He'll say, of course, you know, like when he has his epiphany, he has like a big splutter. So this must be a common amongst super geniuses.
No, I think, well, that's the thing. In Sherlock, like what he has, but I guess what I'm saying about this particular one, there were 2 times where somebody was just like talking to him in a normal tone, and he just went like ape shit, and I was like, whoa, whoa. It wasn't that they were kind of like, you know, discussing ideas, and he just was like all of a sudden the volume elevated, and I'm gonna record, like if I could go back and fast forward, I'm gonna record like a bit of that video from Daily Motion, and I'm gonna send it to you. And you'll have to agree with me that that's like whoa, that's a little bit out of. Anyway, I totally sidetracked, which is very much like what he did. I went off on a tangent, but at this point, so Romana gets transported, disintegrated. We don't know. And then how does the doctor find out? I can't remember.
Oh no, but Vivian Faye tells him flat out that if you stop interfering, she'll be fine.
Oh, okay. So she's basically holding her for ransom against the doctor. Like,
basically says, you know, actually the doctor and Amelia show up at the stone circle. Miss Faye is there and says,
oh, that's right.
You'll
and
be
she's
safe.
In the outfit.
Right.
Yeah. Wait, so before that, though, was this before or after that K9 gets fucked up? Like,
this is well after.
This is well after. So before then, Romana and the doctor were at the hall, and they discovered the bodies of this guy and his maid.
Right.
And then the silicon, whatever.
The ogre.
The ogre,
Yeah.
you know, the Stonehenge creatures show up to take them out, right?
Yes.
K9's like
kicking their asses, but
yeah,
he gets the crap beaten out of him.
He gets the crap beaten out of him. And quite honestly, like, not knowing the history of the show, I was like, dude, did they just take out K9? Like, I was a little worried. I got to admit, I was worried for the little guy.
Well, you got to remember, though, this is the second K9. This is Mark II.
Oh,
K9,
really?
K9 Mark I stayed behind with Leela on Gallifrey at the end of the last season, because Leela fell in love with the captain of the guard at the Invasion of Time, and the K9 Mark I stuck around to keep her safe.
Oh, so okay, and so K9, there's 2. How many K9s have there been?
At least 3, if not 4.
Oh wow, because the last time I saw K9, like in like the current continuity, he was with Sarah Jane.
That was at least K9
show.
Mark III.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it the same personality, or like a different dog, or
well?
Like, so are there 2 canines out there, like 4 different canines with the same personality?
Well, I mean, he's a robot, and you can build him. So
yeah,
I leave that to your imagination. Is Data the same as Lore? I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, I don't like the Next Generation.
Oh,
But oh, that kind of sucks because it kind of takes away his uniqueness for me. You kind of bum me
well,
out with
I don't think
that.
there are like 1,000 of them. I think there are like three.
Well, as long as he's not just like a Volkswagen, you know what I
No.
mean? Like you
Oh
can just
no.
roll him off the like line and like everyone has one. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Oh, okay. Like you know what K9 kind of reminds me of? He's a cooler version of it. Is you ever watch the old Battlestar Galactica? And they have that boxy thing that the little boy has.
Oh God.
Do you remember Boxy? Now,
Yes.
I think K9 is much cooler, but K9 is probably like 5 steps away from being a Boxy. Like if there was an annoying little kid hanging around, like K9 could be Boxy, but he's not. Don't get offended. I'm just
No,
saying, like
I understand.
you could very easily veer off into Boxy territory, don't you think?
Well, except for the fact that he can shoot a laser from his nose,
Exactly.
and that he has a supercomputer for a brain.
Exactly.
Although I think one of the funniest
I hated
scenes,
Boxy.
the fun, I think some of the best scenes of this show were when, with K9 and the Doctor when they're arguing over the hyperspace zappy thingy.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so they obviously, Vivian Faye zaps herself to hyperspace, and the Doctor has to figure out how to get her back. So he gets K9 to help calculate how they can build this wild contraption, which is enabled to basically a hyperspace projector, which
Yeah.
enables him to zap himself to hyperspace and go after K9.
Him
Go
and
after
Romana.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well-
yeah, so they go to hyperspace, and at this point, I'm like, whoa, this episode just like, what happened? Like, we just went, like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was expecting, like, Earth and fighting aliens on Earth, and then all of a sudden they get zapped to what, like a prison ship or something?
The ship, yeah.
Which is where I got really confused. Let me tell you the honest truth.
To me, this is where the episode started to make sense.
That's so great. Well, but what makes sense about it? Okay, so you're going to have to explain it to me because maybe I was tired or whatever. They show up on the ship, and I thought the ship was Vivian's ship.
Well, in a way, it was.
She took it
because-
over?
Yes, she was a prisoner on the ship.
She was a prisoner. Okay, that's what I
Yes.
thought. And then she took it over, and she put the two beings that were in charge of the ship in a cell.
No.
Right? No?
Those were justice machines.
Yes, Justice Machine.
Justice machines were not policemen. The justice machines, these little sparkly lights.
Yes.
Man, the BBC can really do a lot on a nothing budget.
I actually like those guys for some reason.
They were
There's-
awesome.
Yeah, something about him remind me of what was that? Did you ever see Automan, like Cubit or something? Like he used to have. Remember that old '80s show? It was on for like less than a season,
No.
and he had like Cursor, I think he called it, and it was this floating thing. Wow. Okay, I'm old. Anyway.
Oh yes. He was like a cop that got like killed but came back to life as Tron.
Yeah, he was like Tron. Yeah, yeah. He had the Tron sort of, and he
guess-
had like a little thing that went around, and it was like bloop, bloop, and it was called Cursor. It was
Yes.
like a little cube, and it was wow.
Yes, and
That's
he
what-
was. I do remember this. And
Yeah.
his partner, like the dead cop's former partner, who was a human,
Yeah.
would still ride around in this guy's light car, except
Yeah.
for the fact the light car could make these inertialess 90-degree turns,
Just
which
like
would always
Tron.
slap the human guy right up against the window.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
can't make
remember-
inertialess turns.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. Yeah, yeah. But that's what it reminded me of course,
Yes.
whatever. Obviously one having not to do anything with the other.
No,
but
this
okay,
came, Doctor Who, this episode came, this is in 1978.
Way
This-
before.
But 3 years earlier.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're on the prison ship and they
Oh, she didn't lock them in. They were
No.
justice machines. They were supposed to deal with the prisoners when they arrived where they were going.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but they the policemen on the security guards who were supposed to deal with the prisoners while they were on the ship, Vivian killed them.
Okay. And so, but these justice machines are what? Like they basically Doctor Who and Romana discover these two like little light floating cursor things that claim that they are the judge, jury, and executioner of the ship.
For the prisoners.
Okay, and they basically say that That's where I get confused. How does the chain of authority work on this ship? Like they were locked in a cell, and then Doctor Who and Romana lets them out,
They weren't
and
locked
they're
in.
all pissed off
They were
about it.
because they weren't supposed to be released by anyone without authorization.
So they were in the cell because they were supposed to be in the cell, not because.
Yes, it's not. It wasn't a cell per se. That was their cabin or their repository.
Okay. See, that's where I get confused because I was like, prison ship? Did Vivian put them in the prison and now they're ticked off at Doctor Who?
No,
So
they were mad. In fact, the reason why the doctor opened their cell is because they had a very special looking seal on it. And, he figured, well, maybe this is like a serious, maybe this is Vivian's cell. Maybe this is somebody even more serious than Vivian's cell. It's a big funky seal that looked different from everybody else's. I better open it and see what's inside.
Gotcha. Okay. But meanwhile, back on Earth, K9 and Amelia, the older woman,
Yes.
the projector thing gets blown up, right?
By Vivian, yes.
By Vivian, yeah. So the thing is,
who's now no longer dressed as a bird. Now she's
Yeah.
in full-on space gear.
Full on.
Her skin is silver.
yes, full on like Tin Man. Yeah, she's like got the silver makeup and
Yep.
a nice flowing gown, and
She's got the big bustier.
yeah, she looked pretty cool. I thought.
Yeah.
Like as far as like an alien, was concerned. And she was kind of creepy. So she broke the projector, and then K9's like, don't worry about it, we can fix it. And then there's a line that I thought was kind of like a call out to Star Trek. Did you catch that?
What'd they say?
Well, where K9, she's repairing the thing, or like K9's like, we can repair it, and she's like, I can't repair this. She's like, I'm an archaeologist, not an engineer.
Oh.
Like, I kind of was like, was that a call out to Star Trek?
It might have been.
Yeah, I was like, oh, because she very much said it like, stern and
Damn it,
like,
Jim.
Yeah. She was like, I'm an archaeologist, not a. So basically, K9's like, we can repair it, and so they get to repairing the projection device. Meanwhile, Doctor Who is sort of like arguing for his life on the.
Because the Megara are very pissed off with him because he broke the seal and let them out without authorization. The penalty for which, of course, is death.
Is death, of course. There's no middle ground.
No.
Yeah. So Doctor Who has
It's clearly it's a Republican administration. I'm sure.
Exactly. And so Doctor Who has to put on a wig, and
Which he has in his pocket.
I know, and he has to represent himself in this court.
Yes.
And in the meantime, Vivian decides that she's going to hang out and watch this trial, right?
Well, no. First, she starts to have the Ogre try and kill them all, but the Megara blow up one of the Ogre, so that makes the other one back off. And she's like, "Okay, I'm not in charge here after all."
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. The two little wisps of light
Are not to be trifled with.
Yeah, not to be messed with. They're badasses.
Right.
So what ends up happening is, and I don't know, him with the wig on and all that. I kind of checked out at that point.
Oh, come on. There was so much work. There was so much stupider stuff before then. Like,
There was, but I guess I
to
got
me,
to the
the dumbest moment of the entire show was when, where was it? It was in the middle of episode 3 when one of the Ogre is chasing them and he takes his scarf off and he pretends to be a matador, and even the incidental music
God.
goes into like the Spanish bullfighting music.
It was
and
like-
he jumps out of the way and the thing falls off the cliff.
That's right. Oh my God,
That was so weak.
it was-
And I love this show to death.
I
But
know.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I was like, am I watching this right now? It was, oh man. Yeah, I think just by the point, like Tom Baker puts on the wig and, you've got the two floating wisps and the chick in the silver makeup, I was very much like, okay, I've had enough. I really, like, there's a limit to what I can take. And I was sort of just like, okay, so Doctor Who basically what he's trying to do by other than surviving is he's trying to trick Vivian into
revealing
that
she's
yeah.
actually this 4,000-year-old Diplosian prisoner who was,
Exactly.
who stole the Great Seal of Diplos. She kidnapped a couple of Ogre. She's basically a war criminal or like, some sort of serial killer. She's like the FBI's most wanted on Diplos.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And meanwhile, Romana figures out a way to get back, right?
Yes, because Canine and
They got the projector.
Amanda fixed the
Amelia.
projector. Amelia,
Yeah,
right? Um,
yeah.
fixed the projector. She comes back. She brings an ogre with her. Um,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, so Romana's kind of going, and they're trying to figure out Doctor Who does some serious legal flim flam,
well,
and
I mean,
basically,
to me, like that's the best part is that this is yet another distinction between classic Who and new Who. No sonic screwdriver ballsing around. In fact, he didn't even use his sonic to get into the Megara's cell. He just broke the seal with his hand.
that's right.
And at the end here, there's no shouting, no running, no exploding, not even any special effects.
They didn't have the effects for it. They didn't have the budget for it, Barry.
It was just purely oratory and trickery. He basically
Oratory. Okay, go on.
he tricked the Megara into scanning the memory of Vivian Fay so that they would realize she's not Vivian Fay. She's this 4,000-year-old psycho bitch who's been on the lam for, 4 millennia.
Yeah, yeah, and who killed everyone on the ship?
Yes.
And took it as her own, and basically, yeah, and so they discovered that she's guilty of all these crimes, and basically, instead of Doctor Who having to handle it, he basically lets them take over. Which I mean, they were going to kill him, so
Sure.
yeah, so he's like, all right, take over, and then they don't really show her getting like destroyed or exterminated,
No,
right?
well, they do. But she didn't. Her sentence was not death. Hers was eternal imprisonment.
That's right. That's
So they
right. Yeah,
encased
right,
her
right,
in
right.
stone, so she became one of the new stones in the
Yes.
stone circle.
That's right. So she becomes like one of the Stonehenge stones, not a sentient one, but they imprison her for like 1,500 years or something,
No,
right?
forever and permanently.
Oh, forever. I thought they said 1,500 years.
No,
'Cause, like,
for one of the crimes was 1,500. For the second crime, it was eternal, and they'll run concurrently.
So basically, and then Doctor Who,
It's
Amelia.
life plus 1,500.
Jesus. So basically, Doctor Who gets brought back by K9 and Amelia, his new pal. And, they have this little chat, like towards the end of the episode, where she's like, oh, the surveyors are going to go crazy or something like that. There's a new stone. Oh, they'll be, what, I forget what expression she uses. They'll be like chatting like pigeons or something like
That.
she makes some kind of comment, and I was just like, oh man. By the end of this series, I was just like, oh my God, I can't take that woman anymore. I was praying that she was not going to stick around for the next episode. Like, I was just like, oh man, there was just something about her that, I don't know. It just drove me nuts,
Oh, I thought she was cute.
She was, yeah, no. After a while. So basically, what they reveal is that
By the way, to me, she was like the proto Wilfred Mott. Your cute little old person that the doctor cottons to, because of their local, age and wisdom. Of course, he's like 10 times older than she is, but, he's been an archaeologist and he's pretty old.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I just, her performance was just like, oh, wow, it was rough. I was just like, I couldn't deal with it. But I mean, so by the end of this episode, basically they discovered that the key to time was a necklace that Vivian was wearing.
I think that was the Great Seal of Diplos.
That was the Great Seal of Diplos? Because
think
at
so.
the end, they put the necklace on the thing, and it turns into a piece of
Yes.
the key to time.
Yes.
Oh, so that was the device that she stole. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, it just looked like a necklace. You know what I mean? I was just like, okay, that's the necklace. Okay, so that was the thing that she stole that kind of got her into trouble in the first place. And
By the way, according to Wikipedia, I was right. The cells on the ship did contain a dead Wirren.
No way, really?
Yes.
That's hysterical. That's hysterical. So I mean, basically at this point, they got the third piece of the key to time.
They're halfway there. I love the fact that they're storing them on the TARDIS in an old icebox.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they basically put them together, and you're off to the next adventure. Let me say, a piece that I really, liked about this, just to backtrack a little bit,
Sure.
is I dig the whole as ridiculous as this sounds coming from a heterosexual man, I dig the whole Romana fashion show sort of in the beginning where she's like, let me try this on, and then she puts the cute hat on and she's got the shoes, and
She's
I'm like,
so cute.
she is really
She's
cute.
adorable.
She's really cute, but I do miss the old original feather and the white gown, the sort of space ice empress sort of thing that she was introduced with. But I mean, I definitely was like, oh, we're trying to attract some female viewers here with Romana. She comes out with the little cute hat and her hair's all put up in the,
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think
No?
they were just playing to the, he often has a cute female companion, so they were just putting her in some, new outfits. I thought she looked adorable in the Burberry hat, actually.
Yeah, no, she looked great. Honestly, I'm the further we go on in the series, the more attractive she becomes to me, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
I'm like, wow, I guess I never really,
Well, because
to
she's
me-
also getting less bitchy.
that's true too. She's become a little bit less of a pain in the ass,
Yes.
But I don't know. It seems to me like they were going for something interesting there, something that I hadn't seen in the older Doctor Who, where she was just coming out and being like, "Is this outfit okay?" And she comes out with those shoes, and
Let me tell you something.
she's like,
If anything, that is a premonition for the first episode of the next season, which I
"Oh,
don't
really?
I don't want to spoil for you since you
No,
haven't
don't
seen
spoil
it
it
yet.
for me. No,
But
no.
you look out for the first appearance of Romana 2. So
Oh, I'm gonna miss this Romana. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that, because I really think, and obviously the actress herself has passed away, which is kind of really sad.
yeah,
but-
she was only in her 60s, I think.
Yeah. And but honestly, I've, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just haven't had a lot of exposure to the old Doctor Who's and sat and watched. I mean, is this one of the first ones where they were like, we're gonna do six interlocked seasons? Is that, or did they do that a lot where things were interlocked, or was it just like one series and then they would just jump on to another?
I don't well, there was always continuity usually from episode to episode, but not
Yeah,
this
yeah.
much. They usually as far as I can recall, they didn't use, well, that's not true. They mostly didn't have full season long storylines, but they certainly did sometimes. Like for John Pertwee, there was an entire season when the Time Lords of Gallifrey took his TARDIS away and stranded him on Earth as punishment for something. So he spent his entire season on Earth.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Without the TARDIS? Oh,
Well,
my
he
God.
tried to, he had it, but they disabled it.
Oh, I see.
There was one episode where he tried to jury rig it to jump anyway, and he knocked himself into a parallel Earth. It was
that's
classic
awesome.
stuff, like with the Brigadier that had an eye patch. Everyone was mean and asshole-ish.
So Star Trek, basically mirror, mirror.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. I got to catch up on some of those. Here's the thing: is as much shit as I give some of these episodes, as particularly this series, The Stones of Blood, I have to say there's something about them that I do find really charming and endearing, and and worth my time. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
and
glad.
and for the most part, they are This one I did not watch with my daughter. Just because the only place that you can apparently watch them online is this Daily Motion website. They don't have them on Netflix for some reason. They don't even have them on Amazon Prime.
Really?
Yeah. They have a ton of other stuff, but they don't have the Stones of Blood, which I don't understand why. But
It's stupid because they do have Part 4, the Androids of Terra on next.
Yeah.
They have that on
Which
Netflix.
sounds like an awesome. I just like the title of that, The Androids of Tara. Is that better than the Stones of Blood?
Only
Oh,
time
no.
will tell.
Oh no.
Well, let's
No,
just
no.
say if you like Mary Tam, there's a lot of Mary Tam in this one.
Oh, really? Why is
Yes.
that? Does
I
she
don't,
step out for a little bit, or
well, no, but I don't want to
no?
spoil it.
Oh, don't spoil it.
You'll
Oh,
ha-
then we're gonna
you'll
have to
have to
get to.
tune in to Part-Time Fanboy in about a month.
Yeah, I know. I guess you will. No, that's terrific. And dude, we're like about what, a month and a half away from like, what's his face, the new Doctor Who,
No,
right?
no, we're like a month. It's August
Really?
23rd. Yeah,
Oh wow, yeah, a month.
it's like
Holy
a month and two
cow,
days.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be great. Have you saw the most recent trailer, right?
Not only did I see it and enjoyed it, but I don't know if you've seen, some fan created he recreated the season 8 trailer as if it were 1974 with Tom Baker as the new Doctor.
No
And I'll
way.
send you a link after we get off the phone,
Oh, definitely
because it
send
was
that to me.
brilliant. It was dead on.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, you got to send that to me, and I'll
I
post it on the
will.
site
You
when the
should.
podcast goes up.
Um,
That's
It
terrific.
was good. And the interesting thing, I'm hoping, they're doing a Doctor Who world tour where Peter Capaldi, Stephen Moffat, and the lady who plays Clara, I can't remember, Jenna Louise Coleman, they're
Yeah.
going to 5 cities around the world, and New York is one of them. They're gonna
Oh,
they're gonna be in town August 14th. I'm
oh,
hoping that they're going to be at the Ziegfeld Theater the way they were the last time they showed up, because it's a block from my office and it's relatively easy to get tickets for me. I hope. Um,
oh, that's great.
because
Good for you.
I took my brother, my daughter, and a random internet stranger, which is a very long story, for to wait. They gave out tickets to see the season 7 premiere with Matt Smith. They showed Asylum of the Daleks, and they had Matt
Oh,
Smith and Karen Gillan and not Stephen Moffat, but one of the other producers was there, and it was fantastic.
oh,
Um,
that's great.
so
Oh, that's great.
it was
Well,
good. So I'm hoping to be able to catch it again.
I'm going to Comic Con for Saturday and Sunday next weekend,
Nice.
and they usually have like a Doctor Who panel. It's gotten really hard to get into, although like for 2 years, like right before say Doctor Who kind of exploded in the U.S., like I saw David Tennant there, and
Don't they announce the guests in advance or no?
they do. And but I can't remember if David Tennant was a surprise or I wasn't paying attention to the schedule. I just knew that there was a Doctor Who panel and I got in.
Yeah.
And I saw Russell Davies there. I saw David Tennant there, and I think I saw one year where it was Karen Gillian and Matt Smith. But they are harder and harder to get into. But if there is one like on, because usually they do them on Sunday, I'm
Okay.
gonna try and I'll wait online for that if I can, unless like it gets crazy. But they tend to release stuff online too, like some of the panels. So
Sure.
it's cool to be there in person. I mean, I was in one of the ones where it was Tennant's last year. And it was just awesome. He was like a rock star. It was just like
I'm sure.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. It was just
You
freaking
you and
crazy.
all the other fangirls.
You keep giving me a hard time about Tennant, but I love me some Tennant. He's awesome. I love that guy. I
I think he
love
did.
that guy.
I think he did a fine job. I will not deny that. But
He doesn't have the acting skills of Tom Baker.
no, he's a
But-
he's a fine actor. I mean, this is Barty Crouch we're talking about,
oh man.
Junior.
Yeah. Well, he's got a new show coming on Fox. I can't wait to see that. So
Really? What?
yeah, it's based on a series called it was based on a series that he did in the UK, and
What
the
Broad-
US is doing a version. It's going to be on Fox.
Was it Broadchurch?
Something like that. Yeah. Broadchurch, I think, was the British show. This is the American version. And Broadchurch remake for Fox. It's called Grace Point. And it's also co-starring the wife from Breaking Bad. So
Okay.
that's probably going to be badass.
Sure.
I mean, I just think David Tennant's a really good actor, and whatever. I like, am totally like, I'm gonna watch that show. Hopefully, it'll be good. What are you gonna do?
Right.
But anyway, do you have any final thoughts on the Stones of Blood?
Well, we suffered through it. It was,
So you admit it's not the greatest.
it was actually, it's funny too, because I was rewatching it recently, and I'm watching the first couple, I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember it being this bad.
Really?
But it wasn't, I didn't hate it. I was like, yeah, this is definitely not the Pirate Planet.
No, definitely
it took
not.
a little dip in quality.
I know that you told me, and I don't want you to tell me which one. You told me that one of the segments of The Key to Time sucked, which surprised me. Because wow.
It was, do you want me to tell you again? Or?
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Okay,
Don't tell me.
it wasn't
and
this
you
one.
You said, oh, wow, really? You said you wanted to skip it. And I was like, no, we're not skipping it. We're doing this. We're doing the whole what thing. If we're going to do it, we're going to commit to it. We're going to suffer through it
It's so
together.
funny too, because, like, through about midway through the first or second episode of Stones of Blood, I was debating emailing you and saying, are you sure you want to do the whole thing?
No, we're going to do it. We're going to do the whole thing. God damn it.
Androids of Tower is definitely better. And the last one, to me, was the best of all of them.
Oh, okay. Well, see, Mary Tam, for me, is just an excuse to watch it. I could just sit and look at her for, like, whatever, 4 episodes. You know what I mean? I just wish that they made her kind of smarter. Because I'm like, wow, she does not come across that smart.
She's very naive, that's the thing. She's book
yeah.
smart. She has no street smart at all.
Yeah. I mean, I could see why she left the series, like, right after this. Because, honestly, she started out, kind of having a little bit of a backbone. And at this point, she's kind of just following him around and, like, falling into dumb traps and, like, a little bit of the damsel in distress, you know what I mean? And that's not challenging for any actress,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so the next one will be the Androids of Tara, correct?
That's correct.
And I'm actually, I don't know, the title sounds badass to me, but from your reaction, I'm getting this vibe of, like, don't get too excited.
No, it's good. It's definitely a step up.
All I know is that when I would search sometimes, like, on Netflix, like, a couple years ago, like, for Doctor Who, Androids of Tara was, like, always up there for some reason, like, at the top of the search. So it must be famous or, like, well-known or something, right? I mean, there must be something to it, right?
You'll see.
I'll see. I guess we'll find out. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Part-Time Fanboy, and I have been joined by my pal Barry Negrin, and this is Kristian Horn, and we are gonna keep watching The Key to Time. Damn it!
If it kills
for everyone out there, if it kills us, I do not care. Thank you for listening to this episode, and hopefully you will listen to the rest of them. Bye now.
Take care.
Part-Time Fanboy.